for two. Kickers are extra, I give them the boot. Ooh, going for two. Sit back, relax while I grab me a brew. Ooh, now I'm reclining while putting my time and I'm ready to go. My spine is aligning and much my lineups, my bank account grow. I am so rich, but knowledge is all that I'm leaving it with. Ooh, listen to this. Multiple options, how far can I get? Ooh, DFS Dynasty redraft tonight, I'm not finishing last. I'm finishing past any and all, I am looking to last. What else? This spot is popping and I am so locked in and only opening the door when it is opportunity knocking. And all of these spots keep on talking and talking. So what are we talking? What kind of alignment? And running it deep, even players forgotten or came from the bottom or hitting that top end. And this spot is popping, yeah, this spot is popping. And woo! This is the armchair, yeah. Put up your arms, yeah. Sound the alarm, yeah, yeah, yeah. Woo!
What is going on, and welcome to episode 263 of the Armchair Fantasy Show. I'm your host, of course, Jeff Lambert. Follow me on Twitter at JeffLambert77. We are here every Wednesday night on the Going for Two Live podcast network on Facebook Live, Twitter, YouTube, and Twitch. Syndicated in all major podcast networks, and of course on the app for Going for Two. If you are on Twitter right now, unfortunately, Twitter still has a issue with their interface, so we cannot see comments from Twitter. So go find us on YouTube. Just search for Going for Two Live. We should pop up, and you can comment and get in on the show here. Let me introduce my co-host, as always, with me tonight, Mr. Ryan Searfoss. You can follow him at Foss534. What's up, Ryan?
Oh, not too much, man. Just get excited about OTAs and more drafts happening. It's a good time of year.
It's a good time of year. It definitely is.
It's a great time of year.
All right. Also joining us tonight, I think this is the second or third time on the show. Needs no introduction. Mr. Scott Fish, of course, creator of the Scott Fish Bowl. You can follow him on Twitter if you're not already following him at ScottFish24. What's up, Scott?
What's going on? Was that that intro Gabe Gearing? It sounded like Gabe Gearing.
Yep. Yes, it was.
That's awesome.
It was. Yeah.
Yeah,
He came on the show. So we had the intro for like a year, and we finally got him on the show. And I'm like, Gabe, you've been on the show basically for a year. The whole time you've been the intro music for a year. So to finally get him on was pretty cool.
That's awesome. Yeah.
All right. So tonight we're going to be doing a lot of things here. We're going to have some listener questions popping in. We're going to do some breakout or fake out. But Scott, for the few people that don't already know what it is you do, if you can kind of give me a little rundown on what it is you do and just.
Sure. Scott Fish 24 on Twitter. I run a commissioner service called Safe Leagues, where I run a bunch of dynasty and redraft and unique league formats. That's kind of my day job. What most people know me for is fantasy cares and Scott Fishbowl and whatnot. Scott Fishbowl, of course, is this giant, massive pro-am with, experts, analysts, celebrities, fans, everybody jumping in to play in one single league to try to push the mentality out there that we can do some good with our hobby. And that's the main thing I do this time of year.
Yeah, that's pretty awesome. I don't remember last year. I was on the Potathon last year, and I can't remember what the total amount was that was raised on the Potathon last year. It was a crazy amount, though.
I don't remember either. It was a ton, but between the eliminators, the Potathon, the shirt sales, and if you throw in Matthew Berry's league raised $12,000 for V-Fund, it was well over $100,000 raised total.
That's awesome. That's awesome. That is great stuff. All right, so we got a jam-packed show tonight. I don't want to skip anything. Let's go ahead and jump right into it.
And now the five 101s.
All right, 5 101s. You know how this works. 5 non-football related categories. Give us your 101. Scott, first one here is your 101 duo.
I think I'm going to this feels off board, but I'm going to go with Sean and Gus from the TV show Psych.
Nice.
I love their chemistry. Absolutely love their chemistry. I watched every episode as it was on air, and little did I know, several years later, I'd actually become friends with and know James Roday. That's still awesome. A little weird to me. He shot me a message just like 3 days ago.
Wow, that's amazing.
It's a little surreal, but I loved their chemistry on the show. They made me laugh weekly for a long time, so I'm gonna go with them.
That was on USA, right? That's when they first came out. Yeah,
yep.
I remember.
Now they do the movies on Amazon Prime.
Good stuff.
Yep.
All right, 101 fictional character you'd want to meet in real life.
This one was pretty easy for me because I just finally started watching this show recently, within the last month or two. Ted Lasso. I just think I'd get along really well with him.
That is an awesome answer.
Yeah, I think we can hang. Yeah, definitely him.
That show is amazing.
It is. Yeah, I think the season 3 is getting ready to come out here pretty soon. I've seen previews for it already, so should be coming out soon.
Nice.
All right. 101 question you could ask and be given the absolute 100% truth to.
This one, I couldn't think of anything because I am a non-prying guy. I don't like to pry from people. Like, I don't dig in. Like, when there's drama about, I'm not the guy DMing people, hey, what's going on with this? Because I try to stay out of all that stuff. But I thought long and hard. I'm like, you know what? It'd be something like a little bit selfish. It would be, what's the best parenting trick that you have with your kids? Because I'm all about family and I'm all about my kids. I'm parenting alone tonight. My wife is at a conference, but I would want to know their legit 100% truthful best trick they have with their kids, best tip they have with their kids. And I would take all those in and nice. Help myself become a better parent.
Yeah, that's not one you can ask Ryan. He doesn't have kids. But all right.
What's your trick with your golden doodle?
Yeah, there you go. Give him the bone.
No, he's in charge. Yeah, give him food and pray he doesn't get mad.
All right. 101 movie you wish had a sequel but never did.
This is the easiest answer for me. I tweet about it probably once every 3 years. It's a movie called Jumper with Hayden Christensen. It was supposed to be a trilogy. Him and a bunch of people like him have the ability to teleport, from location to location. And then Samuel L. Jackson is this leader of this, organization that's always trying to stop them. And I thought it was actually a really decent movie, but I wanted more from that universe. I felt that I wanted to see that as a trilogy. I still want to see it. I know they made like a spin-off TV show like 10 years later that I didn't really watch, and I heard it wasn't really very good, but I wanted 3 movies of that.
Yeah, I do remember that movie. That was actually a pretty good. It was one of those underrated movies, but it definitely was good, and it kind of left you at the end sort of hanging there. They should have made it a trilogy.
It was supposed to be.
It came out too early. If it came out in the last 5 years, every movie has a sequel.
Oh my, yeah, especially like a superpower type thing. Yeah, I agree.
We had 10 of them out by now if it came out then.
Oh man, you're making me sad here.
Sorry.
All right, last one here. Your 101 dead musical artist.
Like this one was really tough because there are a lot of really, really good ones. Being from Minnesota, I feel like I'm supposed to say Prince. I have so many friends who Prince is their favorite artist. My wife, my mother-in-law, et cetera, et cetera. I think I'd probably just say Prince because he was really awesome for me. I met him several times. He's about this tall on me. I'm not joking. I think I met him 3 times, and each time he was about this tall on me, and he was with a woman who was my height or taller. And I'm 6'2" now, I was 6'3" at the time. I'm shrinking, but of course she was in high heels, but always super tall, ridiculously gorgeous women. Another one, a recent one, Taylor Hawkins for the Foo Fighters. I want him back. I was supposed to go see them this summer, but I want him back for other reasons. Have the Foo Fighters still going. No need for a guy like that to die that young. But let's just stick with Prince. It's a Minnesota answer.
All right, good stuff. Let's get to some football stuff.
News and notes from around the league.
News and notes is brought to you by Underdog Fantasy. It's fantasy football with no waivers, no setting lineups, and not worrying about injuries. With their best ball leagues, you get to do the fun part, and that's draft. It's like a mock draft you can win money from. Download the Underdog app for iOS or Android. Use our promo code GF2. Get a 100% deposit match up to $100. For as low as $3, you can join one of our Going for 2 leagues, or you can join with other contests in the lobby, like their Best Ball Mania 3 contest with over $10 million in prizes and $2 million going to first place. All you gotta do is download the app, use promo code GF2, get your deposit match, and win some money here. All right, so pretty quiet week of news here. So I got a couple nuggets, just some small things. The first one here, and it's been talked about a lot on Twitter, is Ron Rivera came out and kind of said that he wants his running back group this year to be a committee like he had in Carolina when it was D'Angelo Williams and Jonathan Stewart. Scott, I'm going to go to you first here. First of all, are you buying this? Like, do you think this is coach speak, or you think this is legit? And then what are you doing with the guys that are there, like Antonio Gibson, who's been drafted pretty high?
Yeah, I think it's kind of legit, even though just a couple of years ago he was talking about the shades of CMC he saw in Antonio Gibson. But, they drafted a Brian Robinson type that can be that goal line back. I think that the 10 touchdown years out of Gibson might be gone. And we already saw what they did with McKissick when McKissick was fully healthy there. I think it really could be a 3-pronged attack. And the way the NFL's just gone recently is the multiple backfield, because we have 17 weeks to play instead of 16, and there's so many more injuries. It's just, I believe it this time. I think it's true.
Yeah, I'm sort of coming around to it. I didn't believe it at first. I actually live here in Washington, D.C., so I hear all the radio stations talking about it, and I was kind of like, I don't know if I really truly believe it. But then the more I thought about it, it just makes sense. I mean, Gibson dealt with an injury all of last year.
Yep.
They drafted a guy, I think was he a 3rd-round pick, something like that. So yeah, I think I'm coming around to that. What about you, Ryan? What are your thoughts here, and what are you doing with Antonio Gibson?
Yeah, I mean, the tea leaves are there. They used draft capital, got Brian Robinson. They outbid Buffalo and J.D. McKissick. They had Jarrett Patterson, who they even used in the passing game a little bit last year. I wish it was a committee like the Carolina days and it was only 2 guys. This feels more like what the Patriots are, where they rotate role players at different things. So you have to guess game scripts for them.
It could be even worse. It could be passing down guy, between the 20s guy, and goal line guy. Like, it could be even worse than the Patriots.
It's a nightmare. And we see Antonio Gibson's going 41 in Dynasty ADP right now. Like, it needs to drop. He's in a full-blown committee and going over guys like Aaron Jones, who's older, but he's going to get volume. It's crazy right now. He needs to go down a lot. It's sad because everybody in the fantasy community spent way too much money on him the year before, but I kind of don't want any part of it.
Yeah, myself included. You know how much I loved Antonio Gibson last year. So,
I know.
I have a lot of shares of him that I'm not so happy with this news right now. All right, we're sticking with the running back theme. I'm going to go with Rashad Penny here. Already dealing with the hamstring issue. Just real quick, Ryan, give me your thoughts. I know you don't like Rashad Penny. You never.
I mean, Rashad Penny has a hamstring.
Ryan.
Rashad Penny has a hamstring issue. Water's wet, sky's blue. Like, it's just kind of expected. I mean, they're gonna play whoever's healthy in the hot hand. Hopefully, it means it's wheels up for Kenneth Walker because he's the new exciting toy, and hopefully, this gives him a chance to step in. But it's a wait and see, because if he's healthy during the season, we don't know.
Yeah.
But it's par for the course. It's an opportunity for Walker.
Not a good look this early in the season, or this early in the off season already. What are your thoughts here on this backfield? It's kind of a committee as well, we think, with Penny being there, and now of course they drafted Kenneth Walker. What are your thoughts, Scott?
I am now that I hear another injury from Penny, I'm much more in on Kenneth Walker than I was. I thought that was the perfect landing spot for him, perfect fit. He's just a back that when he gets, he can sweep around the edge and just break through holes so easily. Oh man, I'm much more in on Kenneth Walker than I am Penny at this point. I don't even know that I can draft Penny at his ADP at this point. He's going to have to drop quite a bit for me to want to take him anymore.
Agreed. Ryan, let me ask you this, because I know you weren't super high on Breece Hall pre-combine, and then you raised him up to after the combine and after the draft. Is there any chance, let's just say Rashad Penny maybe doesn't get ruled out, but he's injured going into the season. Is there any chance you're putting Kenneth Walker over Breece Hall?
I don't know if I'd rank him over it, but I could see him finishing over it. Because, I mean, look at their offense. One, their quarterback situation is now kind of trash. Oh, it's fully trash. But it's not in good shape. They've always been a run-heavy team. And he could get 240 carries. Like, as much as we want Breece Hall to get volume, they're still going to be passing a ton in that division in the AFC East with how good the offenses are. and how good some of these teams are. They're going to cause shootouts in the AFC. Seattle's going to play Seattle football, and I think that's a great thing for Walker if he's in there. So he can be high volume play. I don't know if he'll get the touchdowns, but he get a ton of volume, and you know what? That's fantasy consistency right there.
Yeah, good call. All right, I guess tonight we got a running back theme because the next two notes I have are also on running backs. Travis Etienne, full go in OTAs. I mean, we kind of expected it a little bit, but does that make you feel all warm and fuzzy, Ryan? I know you were a big Etienne guy.
Oh, I love it. I'm really excited about it. I love it. He's a guy, like, he was slow for me in the draft process, but the more I've watched him and, like, what we've seen, it's the perfect fit for, like, that Doug Peterson offense. We've seen him use backs in their receiving ability. We saw what he did when he had Shady back there. It's a very good fit with Doug Peterson's offense, especially with his explosive ability and big play ability. He can catch and be a little safety valve for Lawrence, since his offensive line's still not fully what it needs to be for a rookie or second-year quarterback. Like, it's a very good thing for him, and it could be really nice fantasy-wise. I think we'll still see a little bit of a discount on him, and once we get a taste, it's going to skyrocket. This might be the lowest we're going to get at the end.
Yeah. Do you agree there, Scott? Are you all in on Etienne?
Yeah, I really am. I love that, Lawrence has his college outlet back, for that. And it's also that Etienne's probably going to catch passes shallow enough in the field that Trevor can't throw it in the ground to him, I hope. So based on what I saw last year, man, so many off-target passes. That guy. Oh. Yeah, watching Jags game film was not fun last year for me on Tuesday mornings.
Yeah, definitely. And yeah, you're right. I mean, that college connection is there, and we've seen it a couple different places, with Tua and Waddle, and that worked out pretty well. So having
Burrow, Chase,
Burrow and Chase, yep.
These are wide receivers, but still.
Yep. It still works out the same. All right, last one here, and I'll go to you first this time, Scott. Elijah Mitchell, I'm a huge fan. I'm also a Niners fan, so that kind of skews things a little bit. I've been drafting him probably higher than most people are. People are a little bit down on him because of the Deebo Samuel thing and because they're traditionally a committee, but they're coming out and saying, at least the beat reporters are saying, that he's the top option in the run game. Mm-hmm. What are you doing with Elijah Mitchell? Do you have him high? Are you low on him, or what's your thoughts?
No, I'm usually really high on Elijah Mitchell. And Mostert going is nice. Jeff Wilson came back. But I think he's more of an ancillary part of that backfield. And it sounds like they are almost ready to admit their mistake with Trey Sermon, is the way it sounds coming out of there. So just watching Elijah Mitchell come back from injury and then still get 20 to 25 plus touches just tells me the faith that they have in him when healthy. I'm all aboard.
Yeah, I'm with you. And people, argue the Deebo Samuel thing, but I mean, he was getting those many touches with Deebo Samuel getting his touches. He was still getting 20 touches. Elijah Moore was. Ryan, what's your thoughts on Mitchell?
I mean, I want Mitchell to happen. I'm at like 80% trust of that because there's a lot of coach speak there. Mm-hmm. A lot of times, Stan Fran. I mean, you follow their beat reports probably a lot more than me, so I don't know how much we believe them. Like, do you trust them?
I don't. Well, I trust the beat reporters reporting what they see is accurate. I don't know if the coaches saying what they say is going to be completely accurate. I think they do try to hide some things there, and But overall, I still think Elijah Mitchell gets the workload there. I don't think there's anybody that really threatens that top running back spot there for him.
Yeah, I don't mind taking the chance out of him where he's going. I think people are afraid, so it pushes him down a little bit. So it's nice for that. But he was so good. Like, I don't know how you don't start him. And you don't give him volumes. He looked great last year.
What I trust is what they actually did when he was fully healthy last year. That's what I trust.
And coming down into the season, they had a win those games, to make the playoffs. It wasn't like it was like a junk time kind of thing. They were giving him the ball in, basically playoff games down the end of the season. So I do trust that as well. All right, that wraps up the news and notes.
Breakout or fake out?
All right, we're doing breakout or fake out, and we're going to stick to just second and third year players here for our breakout or fake out. I've got a bunch of names listed here. We're just going to kind of go through as many as we can. We'll start right there at the top, Scott. Rondell Moore possibly could get a little bit more work with the exodus of Christian Kirk, but what are your thoughts on Rondell Moore? Breakout or fake out this year?
Yeah, exodus of Christian Kirk, but the acquisition of Marquise Brown, right?
Yeah.
And then I suppose he's got a 6-game window to break out. I don't think it's going to be a full breakout or a full season breakout, just because I don't see him getting the kind of volume he'll need to have a huge breakout. He had 400 some yards last year. If he can top that, especially with this 6-game runway of Hopkins being out. But I don't think he's going to be a consistent fantasy option in the second half of the season. So I'm gonna say no. I'm gonna say fake out, but he's gonna have some games, and probably early on.
All right, Ryan, what are your thoughts on Rondell Moore? Breakout or fake out?
I'm with Scott, and I think he's a early season DFS play. And if you have him on Dynasty, as soon as he has that big game, sell him. Like, I don't believe it. I think he'll have big games, and he's that boomer bust player. Like, he's going to have, a game that's going to be 3 yards, 100 or 3 catches, 120 yards, and 2 touchdowns, and everybody's going to go crazy. You sell him immediately. Because
like that Vikings game. The Vikings game last year, there was complete blown coverage, and he had an 80-yard touchdown with nobody around him.
Yep. Exactly. He's a best ball dart throw at the end of the draft there. Just take him at the end and get that 1-2 games that you're going to get from him in best ball.
Yeah.
All right, let's stick with the receivers here. And this guy, I put him on the list just because of some recent news that, quote unquote, he's in the best shape of his life, which is kind of weird for a 22-year-old. Usually you say that about the older guys, but they came out and said that he's in the best shape of his life, Mr. Amari Rodgers. I'll go to you first this time, Ryan. Give me your thoughts on Amari Rodgers. And that receiving core isn't exactly experienced. Breakout or fake out?
I mean, the best shape of his life is better than them calling Zach Wilson thick. So that's a good thing. But
everyone's best shape of their life in OTAs.
Exactly. Except for Traylon Burks. But I don't trust it. Unfortunately, Randall Cobb is going to keep him from being relevant. And it's so gross to say because Aaron Rodgers really doesn't have anybody who has continuity with other than Cobb there. And that slot role is what he plays, and that's where Amari Rodgers is. It's in the way. So I'm going to fake out.
Fake out. What about you, Ryan?
Or Scott? Yeah, 100%. Yeah, 100% nailed it with Aaron Rodgers. Aaron Rodgers has shown over the last, especially in his later part of his career, that he needs guys he can trust, and he will go to guys he can trust over. If he's got a younger receiver he doesn't have great chemistry with yet, and they drop one, he will go away from them for half the game. And he trusts Randall Cobb, and Randall Cobb's going to get on the field because of that a lot more than Rodgers will. So no, it's a fake out for me. I don't think he's breaking out this year.
Yeah, I think I'm with y'all as well. Leagues there, and I was kind of hoping to get something from him, but it's not looking too good. All right, let's go to tight end here, and this guy's been sort of hyped up a little bit. Had a couple good games last year as a rookie, as a tight end. Mr. Brevin Jordan. I'll go to you first, Scott. Give me your thoughts on Brevin Jordan. Had a couple good games last year.
This is a really tough one for me because in order for a tight end to break out, you can hit the top 12 tight ends if you score 6 or 7 touchdowns. And Brevin Jordan had 3 touchdowns in very, very limited work last year, right? If you give him all of Aiken's work and hope that Mills improves a little bit, I could see 50, 55 catches and 6 to 7 touchdowns and, him edging in that 10, 11, 12, 14 range. If you call that a breakout, that's a breakout, I guess. But mostly, I think it's a fake out. He's gonna be a matchup play for you most of the time at best.
Yeah, I'm with you there because you're right. I mean, it doesn't take much to be a tight end one. When you think breakout, you want one of the elite guys. What about you, Ryan? What are your thoughts on Brevin Jordan?
Yeah, I was gonna say breakout, but the way you described that with how we're really easy about using the term breakout with tight end, I don't feel great about it.
He'll be usable. He'll be usable.
Yeah, you can rotate him, play matchups, and pray for touchdowns.
Yeah, and that's sometimes what you do with tight ends. You just pray for touchdowns on some of these guys, especially the ones that are
really is.
It's 13, 14 range.
Yeah, I don't feel great about it.
I think he had the Texans only 3 tight end touchdowns last year. I'd have to look that up, but I think that might be right.
You're probably right. I think 2 of those touchdowns came in one game, I believe, because I think I had him in DFS that week.
He had a 3-week week run that was nice, like 4 targets, 7 targets, 4, and then he just disappeared after that.
Yep.
Like, just they used him to be Cole, but
All right, let's move to a quarterback that was drafted really high last year in rookie drafts. Chicago Bears didn't do much for Fields in this offseason, but Justin Fields, give me your thoughts, Ryan. What are your thoughts here? Breakout or fake out for Fields?
oh god, this one just doesn't feel good. But I'm saying fake out because there's not like they did nothing for him. The line didn't improve enough. They didn't get him weapons. They're essentially sending him out to the Wolves, and it's not great. I have the Josh Rosen fear for him.
Ooh.
Like I don't feel like they're. I don't think he's bad. I think he's a good quarterback. I just think this organization could ruin him with the way they're treating him. And once you get a couple bad seasons with quarterback get hit, not getting help, it just goes downhill because their psyche's down. And I'm honestly terrified of that.
Yeah.
And it's really sad to say. I felt like a super downer.
Yeah. Because people were high on Fields last year. I know Jeff Bell, one of the friends of the show, he was like, he had him as his QB1 over Trevor Lawrence and didn't look so great last year. Scott, what are your thoughts on Fields?
I definitely would. I'd be with Ryan. I'd lean fake out. He's probably going to have a lot of trouble getting into like a top 12 tight end season or top 12 quarterback season because there's just a lot of good quarterbacks right now. I lean fake out, but I'm going to give the positives for Justin Fields fans out there. Like in his three best games came in his last 4 games. In his last 7 games, he was averaging like 7.5 rush attempts per game. And, had, I think 5 of those games, he had over 50 yards rushing, I think 4 of those games. So like the fantasy upside with that rushing and his yardage was ticking up at the end before his injury. I think that's a positive. And also the Bears defense, not great. He doesn't have a lot of weapons, but they're going to be behind a lot. He's going to have to try to pass, try to make things done with his legs. It may not look good, but I think he's going to have some decent fantasy starts out there. I still think it's fake out, but like there's some positives there.
Yeah, and one of those guys on my list here, the next guy here, great segue, is Mr. Darnell Mooney, who he'll be throwing the ball to, Scott. It's possible that Fields can struggle and Mooney can still have a breakout. What are your thoughts on Darnell Mooney?
Yeah, and I still put, even though Fields played, half a season or whatever, I think he started like 8 games. I think he played in 10 or 11. Anyway, like rookie and young wide receivers tend to, lean on one person. And last year, I do a lot of stat data stuff, but I watch all the games. I rewatch him every week, and he looked for Mooney consistently, especially when in trouble. And I think that's gonna carry over to this year. I think it's very possible we are upon Mooney broke out a little last year. I think he breaks out a little more this year. I know there's a lot of OTA chemistry talk about Velus Jones, but I wonder how much of that is trying to cover up for, did we make a mistake? Like, let's put their lockers together. Let's pump out some nice information because he's a guy who can make plays out there. Yeah, I think I would lean breakout on Mooney.
All right. So I think we got our first breakout, I believe, of all the guys we've talked about here. Ryan, are you in agreement here with the breakout for Mooney?
Yep. I mean, good receiver, or you can get good fantasy performances out receivers and bad offenses just because of volume. Yep. And he's talented enough, and Justin Fields has chemistry with him. So it's a good combination for Mooney. So, yeah. And he's going to get volume. Mm-hmm. Who else is going to get it?
Yeah, that's a good point. And we saw, Allen Robinson, I know it was Mitch Trubisky, but it was a bad offense, and he targeted the hell out of Allen Robinson when he was there, and he was definitely fantasy viable, even though they were terrible. I like it. All right, this next guy was sort of a darling in the playoffs after his monster game, and the Dynasty community is all in on this guy. But Gabe Davis, Scott, give me your thoughts on Gabe Davis, who was okay during the season, but then he had that monster playoff game, and everybody seems to think that he's just going to step into that number 2 role this year.
It's always been opportunity for him. The year before, when John Ross was out, he lit up the scoreboard several times. I mean, you've seen his touchdown numbers. He's scored a ridiculous amount of touchdowns for the amount of playing time that he's had. I think if he does definitely step into that number 2 role, Breakout could definitely. We saw Diggs take a slight step back last year, but I think he's going to be still very involved in the offense, obviously. But I think if I had to lean between Breakout or Fake Out, I'd lean Breakout on Gabe Davis. It annoys me though, because I was early on Davis, and now I feel like I'm middle of the pack. Like there are people that are so incredibly in love with him that I feel like I'm on crazy pills just seeing the hype. But I would lean Breakout still.
Yeah, I'm pretty upset too. I was trying to buy Gabe Davis everywhere. I actually had a guy considering Gabe Davis for Dawson Knox straight up, which I would have loved that deal. He was very close to making the deal, and unfortunately now he's way too expensive. Now if you want to go out and get Gabe Davis, you got to pay top dollar, and I just can't afford that price. But you're right. Touchdowns to reception ratio was ridiculous. I think that first year, up until the very last week of the season, he led the team in touchdown receptions, and then Diggs had that huge game and passed him. But very, very good player. Ryan, what are your thoughts on Davis?
I think it's a little bit of a trap. Like, yes, he had 2 games at the end of the year, the playoffs, and then week 18 where he had double-digit targets. But there were so many games where it's 3 targets, 4 targets, 1. I think the Buffalo's offense works feed Diggs, and whoever else is open. And you're going to see the Gabe Davis games. You're going to see the Isaiah McKenzie games. You might see a Khalil Shakur game in there. You might see James Cook be a second receiver in the game, like tossing Knox. Like, I think after Diggs, it's kind of a crapshoot. I think he's awesome for best ball and DFS plays, but consistent week to week, he scares me.
Yeah, that's a fair point because they do spread the ball around quite a bit there behind Diggs. Diggs gets his targets, and then it was kind of a little bit of a last year. It was Beasley and a little bit of Emmanuel Sanders as well. So
Crowder's going to be involved still. Like,
yep, Crowder's there too. I forgot about Crowder.
There's still a lot of balls to go around there.
Good point. All right, I don't think we've done a running back yet, so I only had one running back on this list.
Can I say one thing about Davis on that?
Yep, go ahead.
His best game snap percentage over the first 13 weeks last year was 52%.
Ooh,
like he's going to top that almost every week this season.
Yeah, that's a good point. All right, running back. We got one on here on this list, and he's been a disappointment. Mr. Clyde Edwards-Helaire. I'll go to you first this time, Ryan. Breakout or fake out? Is this the year we see Clyde Edwards-Helaire what we thought he was going to be?
I mean, at this point, could he be a fake out? But I don't know, man. They signed Rojo, who's also kind of in the same. We feel the same way about him, but he's proved he could be a good runner. I think they're going to go committee with the running back position, and I'm kind of out on Helaire. I think he's worth a late dart throw, but if I'm going to bet on him being a top 24 running back, I'm not feeling great about it.
And that offense, I think, is going to hurt. Go ahead.
I was just going to say Breakout implies that he's going to have his best season yet, and I think he's already seen his best season probably. I think it's going to be more of a share with Rojo. I think that offense could just not be quite as productive, especially for the run game. So, I'm with Ryan on that. He's more of a dart throw. He's probably I don't even remember what his ADP is right now, but it's probably more. It's probably higher than I do.
I wish they'd use him like they used what's his name in the playoffs last year? Jared Williams.
Oh, McKinnon.
No,
I was thinking 2 years ago.
Because Clyde Edwards-Helaire is a good receiving back, and they just don't use him in that role.
It's like beyond me how that happens. Like J.J. had this same thing. J.J. caught 50 balls his senior year his final year of college, and he came into the pros, and they never used him in the pass game. Like, I never understand why that happens.
Yeah,
it's mind-boggling. Yeah, he's RB 28, and his ADP is 87.
RB 28 is fine for him. You're really getting down there at that point.
Yeah, he's between Miles Sanders
and James Cook. Wow.
Yeah.
All right, we're going to do one more here. We'll go with the quarterback, Mr. Tua Tagovailoa, who I'm personally going with breakout here. I don't know how he can't break out with the offense they put around him, but Brian, what are your thoughts here on Tua?
Jeff, I'm not shocked you put him on there after we were asking for my show last night, and he was your suggestion for me. I'm all in on Tua. I really am. Like,
how can you not be?
How can you not be? His situation is so good. Like, we already saw the chemistry with Waddle in college and last year. You're adding the most explosive receiver in the league to it. I don't like Gesicki, but he's still a good weapon, very exciting weapon. He has 14 receiving running backs. Everything's in place to fit his game. He doesn't even have to be thrown deep, which he was top 5 in efficiency on deep balls last year, completed 50% of them. But he doesn't have to be that efficient on that because all he has to do is throw slants and let those guys run after catch. If he can't succeed in this, he's a full-on bust. But if I'm willing to bet, he still completed 67% of his passes last year. Let them speed guys run this year. I'm all for it.
Yeah, I remember the percentage thing. I think it was either December or November. He had the highest completion percentage of any quarterback ever in the history of football in 1 month. So that was pretty impressive. But you're right. He doesn't throw it deep. He doesn't have to.
No, his floor could be Derek Carr, and that's fine.
Yeah. So, Scott, you kind of chimed in there. I'm assuming you're going breakout here with Tua as well.
Yeah, I have almost nothing left to add. He has to break out with, Mike McDaniel's scheming, with Waddle, with Gesicki, with Hill, with, half the backs they have are decent receiving backs too. Like, he's just got everything for him.
Yep.
There's either he breaks out or he really is not an NFL quarterback. And I don't think it's that one.
Agreed. All right. Have you ever wished you could have a podcast dedicated to your home league? Now with our personal league podcast, or POP for the cool kids, one of our analysts will be assigned to every team in your league and will give you an in-depth breakdown of every roster, your strengths, your weaknesses, trade ideas, rookie trade advice, and more. We also rank each team from worst to first to create a consensus ranking and some conversation in your league chats. Visit goingfor2.com/league pod, and for less than $8.50 a person in the 12-team league, you can get one of our POPs for your league. Again, the URL is goingfor2.com/league pod. All right. I know some of y'all have tuned in here to see who won the spot in the Scott Fishbowl 12. And I wish I had a drum roll, but I don't have a drum roll. So we're just going to, there we go. The winner is Mr. Courtney Harden at Courtney110979. I'm guessing that's his birth month and year, because that's a really long number to put at the end of your Twitter handle there. But Courtney, if you're tuning in, you are the winner of the spot. Scott will send you invite. I'm guessing you do it through Twitter because you don't have his email address.
I'll throw it in the next wave. Yeah, I see him signed up, so it's all good. Yep, sweet. I'll get him in the next wave.
Good stuff. Awesome. So congratulations, Courtney. I believe this. He hasn't signed up before, right? This was his first year signing up, or did you check that, Scott?
I can check that right now, but I didn't check it as I put it in.
All good.
But yeah.
All good.
Congratulations, Courtney.
Very cool.
Yeah, congratulations. Very cool. If you haven't been in the Scott Fishbowl, ton of fun. I can get to some listener questions.
Go ahead. Ask me anything.
All right. So I polled some Discord places and a few other on Facebook, Twitter. Got some good questions.
Join our Discord.
Yes, join our Discord, please. It's pinned in my tweet on Twitter, so go find that. All right, so first one here is from Space Ghost Force, and it's really to you specifically, Scott, is how would you rank the craziness of this year's scoring compared to years past, as far as the Scott Fishbowl goes? You haven't announced it yet, I don't believe.
I haven't, and I've toyed with a few things. I'm going to say it's not going to be that much different than last year. So I would say not as crazy. We've had some really crazy thing. I think the video game scoring year was pretty crazy. This is not going to be as crazy. The last few years, I've really used SFB to just push something that's slightly out of the box that people should consider for leagues. I haven't gone crazy in several years.
Yeah, I think last year the big one, besides the kicker, was the third round reversal, which people were sort of split on if they liked it or not.
Very split. Yep. Very 50-50 on that.
The quarterback scoring changed my life though in fantasy. Yeah, it's become my all-time favorite thing I've ever had in the league.
Yeah,
and that's that's not even lip service. It's amazing.
I mentioned this on a pod. I can't remember if it was last year or this year. I've mentioned it before though, that the quarterback scoring thing, once I introduced that a few years ago or whatever, I've never had a setting I've done that has gotten more positive comments than that. That is almost the unanimous number one thing I get is positive comments about that scoring.
Yep.
I don't make leagues now without that scoring. Like,
Yep.
and it's in 14 and 16 team leagues. It makes quarterbacks it's important to super flex. It's amazing.
Yeah.
Yep. Agreed. All right, so this next one here we'll take in 3 different pieces, and we'll have both of you answer these questions. But basically, fantasy outlook on a couple of rookies here: Damien Pierce, Kenneth Walker, James Cook. Are any of them potential redraft, potential flex starters? So I'll give Damien Pierce to you, Scott. Give me your thoughts on Pierce there in Houston.
So I like Pierce well enough, but I love the opportunity there. He's got an aging David Johnson to work against. I believe is Rex Burkhead even still there.
He's listed as a starter on our lads.
like he's got room to. He's got one of the best chances to move up that board. Move up that depth chart and take a role there. I don't love the offense as a whole. I like Davis Mills. Okay. Brandon Cooks. Okay. Nico Collins could have start to break out this year. But he's going to be an okay back if he can take that role. But I see a whole lot of committee share out of those 3, at least early on.
Yeah. Yeah.
Oh, Marlon Mack's there too. I forgot all about him.
Oh my gosh. Yes.
Yeah. That's right. Right. So in the interest of time here, Ryan, just give me. We talked about Kenneth Walker already, with the situation there with Rashad Penny. So give me your thoughts on James Cook. Is he redraft worthy?
I think he's redraft worthy, but I think he's like that second flex spot right now. That's where I'm comfortable with him. I love James Cook. If anyone's listening to the show, all draft season, he's been my dude. I think he has a really good role. I think he's awesome. I think he's one of the best receiving backs in this draft class. It's just how they use him and if they'll use him enough in that role, because we've seen them kind of ignore the running back. I don't think that's always a killer. Like, just because the quarterback and offense hasn't done something doesn't mean they won't do it. They obviously drafted him with an idea of that role, so that's a positive. But I'm not fully confident starting him right away, but absolutely rostering him and absolutely could see him in a flex role and start him there.
Fair enough. All right, we're going to skip a couple questions and get down to, I don't know how to say his name, but I know who it is. It's Nemo. I don't know if he's in the chat or not, but he wants to know who has the highest floor and highest ceiling of this year's top 5 rookie wide receivers. So I'm going to go to you first, Ryan. Give me your highest floor, highest ceiling guy. If it's the same guy, you can say it, or if there's 2 different guys that have a highest floor, highest ceiling, who is it?
I think floor-wise, it's one of the Ohio State receivers for me. Probably leaning towards Garrett Wilson because he has the volume. They're going to have to pass a lot in that offense. I think he fills in that wide receiver 1 role as much as we all love Elijah Moore. I think they're nice compliments to each other, and he has a good young quarterback. I think Olave is close with that. And highest ceiling has to be Drake London because draft capital, he has such high touchdown potential, skill set wise. And I already hate that answer. But yeah, I'm sorry. It's Jameson Williams. I forgot the injuries. He's my highest ceiling
for this whole year, even being out possibly the first 2 months, or just his fantasy ceiling in healthy games.
In healthy games, I'm sorry. Yeah, like his dynasty perspective, I think is the highest ceiling out of all.
I suppose we could be talking. I was, for some reason, my brain is thinking highest floor and highest ceiling for this year, but it could be highest floor and highest ceiling for Dynasty. Yeah, I get that.
We're in that really weird point in time where it's split between Dynasty.
Yeah,
right.
Got a little bit of mixture going on.
Yeah.
Like Jameson Williams was like my 1B the entire process, and he's tremendous. He has the deep ball ability. His offense is the only thing that kind of holds me back. Like long term, though, oh my god, I love his ceiling.
Yeah,
I'm much more passionate about him and Drake London. Like I started talking, I just hated myself.
He couldn't do it.
And I wouldn't give a real one. I'm sorry.
What about you, Scott? Highest floor, highest ceiling from the rookies here?
First off, I'm annoyed that I was like, yeah, I think I could. As soon as Ryan mentioned Marlon Mack, I'm like, yeah, that's right. David Johnson is still a free agent. I feel like they might even re-sign him back, but yeah, David Johnson is not with Houston anymore. But
he's a 1-year contract to retire there.
I do that every once in a while. It slips me for a half second. Highest ceiling, I'm 100% with Ryan. It's Jameson Williams in Dynasty. I think he has the highest ceiling of all these guys in Dynasty. Highest floor is probably got to. Man, it's really tough. It's really tough. I think it's probably Drake London though, just from where they drafted him, his position in that offense. He's just going to get so much volume early on. The downside is if Ridley stays with the Falcons next year, that's where it comes down in Dynasty. But he's got the best floor this year, and I think it could extend out. But I think he's got the best floor this year.
Yeah, I think that's my answer is too. I think Drake London is my floor guy, and JMO is my ceiling guy. I do think that he has the highest long-term value there. All right, let's go to the cute hurts on Discord. It's in startups. It seems like Taylor is the clear-cut RB1, but there's not as much as a consensus from behind. Who's the second one in that list there? Do you wait until later in the draft to address that position, or are there guys separating themselves at the top? So basically, who is the RB2-ish behind Taylor? You think there, Scott?
Yeah, this is phrased interesting because this is all about settings. And we're sticking with running backs. I was going to say, obviously, early on, I want the JJ Chase types, or the super flex. You want the, quarterbacks, or even Pitts is finding himself in the mid first in super flex tight end premium. But if you're going for the second running back, I'm exclusively like a super flex tight end premium player with my dynasty leagues, and Jonathan Taylor goes in the mid first, and then the second running back doesn't go off the board until the mid second, and it's almost always Harris.
Yeah.
So I feel like he has separated himself because it's usually Harrison second in this style. And then in the third, fourth, we get guys like, Swift comes off, Javonte stands. So there'll be one in your league that will pull it, even with Melvin Gordon there, that will pull him right into. I am too. I love him too, but I don't know that I don't know that I'm taking him in the second where Harris and Swift is going end of the second, early third. Javonte will go shortly after, but there's definitely a gap, and there's a bunch of those three. And then after that bunch, you get the CMC, the Dalvin Cook, the Barkley, the Mixons, those guys. Like, it's too little clusters is what happens. It's usually Taylor, gap, Harris, gap, and then a couple little clusters is how it seems like it's going in the drafts I've seen, the real money live drafts I've seen.
Yeah. What about you, Ryan? Is it Harris for you as well, or are you sneaking someone else up there?
Yeah, I wanted it to be Swift, but it's Harris. He's going to get the volume on the ground and in the air. I don't know how long the shelf life's going to be with how much Pittsburgh is going to use them, but you know what? We're only playing a couple-year windows. It's Harris. Like, the volume's there, and so's the talent.
The second part of that, I didn't answer it, and maybe you were going to get there, but do I wait till later? Yes. Do you wait? I probably wait for one of those extra little pockets.
Yeah. I'm with you. I was going to say, Ryan, do you want to be Swift because you're a Ravens fan and you just can't say Najee Harris?
Swift's Detroit. No, I don't care. I don't care about Steelers and teams when it comes to fantasy. He ain't gonna do nothing against Baltimore, but that's a different story. But we look at these later running backs, like the Cam Akers, the J.K. Dobbins, Travis Etienne, like these young backs. There's nothing really keeping them from making that leap. Where, like Scott said, take the quarterbacks, take Jamar Chase, take Justin Jefferson, take a high-end wide receiver and wait, because the talent running back is deep, especially younger. We talked about Kenneth Walker, who's dropping because we think it's a muck there in Seattle. But if Sean Penny's hurt, he's flying up the board. So I think it's well worth waiting if you don't get Jonathan Taylor.
Yeah, I'm with you that as well. I always draft wide receivers, and of course in Superflex leagues get those quarterbacks as well.
I only go after running backs when I'm ready to make a move at the title. That's generally when I attack the position.
That's a good point. All right, let's do one more here from friend of the show, Shane Barrett. He wants to know what's been your favorite theme in the Scott Fish Bowl, I'm assuming, so far. And he wants to know how many leagues you're in.
I'm in far fewer leagues than people think. I used to do 35 set lineups, waivers, everything every week leagues, and then like 100 best balls. Now I do about 10 to 12 lineup waiver, full on leagues, and probably about the same for best ball. So like I'm usually under 25, and it's usually about half and half, best ball versus non-best ball. Yeah. And what was the other part? What was my favorite theme?
Theme for the Scott Fish Bowl. Which one was your favorite? I don't really have a favorite. In fact, they all just seem like chores to me at this point. I will say music seemed to bring out the most entertainment and camaraderie among people. So I'll go with that one. Yeah, I like the music one. People were building playlists with artists from the entire Scott Fish Bowl and putting it on Spotify and sharing it. So yeah, I agree. I think it was the music one as well. All right, that's it for our Ask Me Anything segment. Let's get to our final segment of the night.
Get ready for GoingFor2.com's Forgotten Fantasy Player of the Week.
So I gave Scott a little bit of a challenge because I told him how good Ryan McDowell's Forgotten Fantasy Player was last week. So, Scott, you got to come strong here. Who do you got for your Forgotten Fantasy Player?
Honestly, I don't even think anyone can top Dominic Davis from the last year, whatever that. Go look up Dominic Davis's stats in the amount of games he played. That dude was going to be Christian McCaffrey, 20 years ago. Injuries. But I got to go in for some here. I got a double for you.
Nice.
I got a Tampa Bay Buccaneers double. Both rookies that crushed. 2004, the Tampa Bay Buccaneers drafted this big wide receiver by the name of Michael Clayton. Comes out, rookie season, 80 catches, 1,200 plus total yards, 7 touchdowns as a rookie. His best season after that, 38 for 48, 84, and 1. He never scored more than 1 touchdown in a season after that. That was his rookie season, though. 80, 1,200 plus total yards, 7 touchdowns. Died on the vine after that.
Wow.
The following year, the Tampa Bay Buccaneers draft Cadillac Williams, who has 1,250 total yards and 6 touchdowns in his rookie season. He only tops 800 yards once more in his entire career after that rookie season. 2 years in a row, they had the stud dynasty rookie that fell off the map.
Wow.
So
awesome.
I'm gonna go with that for retired, long forgotten, 2004 and 2005 former darlings.
I like it, and neither one of those have been used. I know you asked me about she 4 years ago when we started doing this. But those two guys have not been show yet. So awesome picks there.
Wow.
Nice.
In 5th in the NFL draft. That shows you why running backs early isn't good.
Wow.
That Auburn trio with like Brown and Williams and I forget who the third was, but yeah, that was wow. Yeah, a long time ago. Ronnie Brown. That's who it was.
All right, let's wrap the podcast up here. We'll go around the room. Just give us your Twitter handle one more time where we can follow you and anything you want to plug. Scott, we'll go to you first.
Just at ScottFish24 on Twitter. You can find anything I'm doing. ScottFishbowl.com is where you sign up. If you don't sign up, I can't get you in. It's shocking to me how many, there are something like 37,000 people signed up for Fishbowl. And yet every day I will get people tweeting at me that they want to play and they're not even signed up. I don't even know how that's possible. And safeleagues.com is where, I fill leagues. You can go join, public money leagues. Everything's super safe and secure. It's a legal contest operator. So it's everything's by the book. We're legal in 42 states and Canada. It's regulated and everything. So you can do that.
Good stuff. Yeah, I always see on Twitter where people are like, I haven't been in the last 3 years. And then Scott's like, well, you've never signed up. So how could you possibly get in? So it is hilarious.
Never understand it. Yep.
Ryan, what you got going on?
Find me on Twitter at Foss534. Find me here every Wednesday night. Then check me out at my podcast at Dynasty Big Board over at the Rookie Big Board Podcast Network. We talk everything Dynasty. That comes out Wednesday mornings.
All right, good stuff, guys. As always, you can follow me on Twitter at JeffLambert77. There will not be a show next Wednesday, just so you know. We're going to be recording a bunch of shorts. We're going to have a offline recording session where we're going to record a bunch of like 4 or 5 minute videos that we're going to put out. So we're taking the week off, but we will be back the following week. For Scott, for Ryan, I'm Jeff. Y'all have a good night.